Hello everyone, so today we're going to be painting Beautiful Oriental Poppies. These are really vibrant in color, have a lot of texture to it, a lot of movement, a lot of different shapes. I'm going to be painting them very abstract, and then for the next video, for next week, I'll be showing you how you can use this for a print design. So I'm just going to use very loose and wide and spontaneous brush strokes. Okay, so I'm using watercolor paper. I usually love to use Arches watercolor paper, but today I'm going to be using a watercolor paper by Winsor and Newton, and it's in cold press. This paper is really good, but it does not it does not allow the water and the ink to penetrate as much as the Arches paper. And if you've seen videos from mine, you'll kind of be able to tell. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting down my water in the shape of the flower, and then I've dipped my brush lightly in Dr. P.H. Martin's ink, and also a little bit in an Aerocolor ink, and I'm just lightly putting down color, kind of following the lines of my water. I'm also putting some lines down in the dry area of the paper. That makes a really nice contrast between this like wet and dry look. And I don't want to add too much detail to it. I just kind of want it to be very loose, spontaneous, and airy. So you can see that I'm taking the tip of my brush and sort of making a few lines to mimic the actual lines on the flower. Okay, so now I'm taking a smaller brush, and these are all Chinese calligraphy brushes, and I've dipped my brush into a green ink by Dr. P.H. Martin's, and it's also a ink by Dowler and Rowney. This is a pearlescent ink. So it has a lot of texture in it, like glittery texture. And I'll leave all of the inks as well as brushes in the description box, and links to where you can get them if you want to. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do for this flower is place black ink right at the bottom center of the flower, and then I'm going to take some water to start to blend it out. And you could have definitely done the black first and then taken your orange ink or whatever color ink you're using to kind of grow from there. But I just wanted to make sure it looks like it's all blended together. I don't want there to be like a definite separation line from the black and the rest of the flower. Okay, so this part is completely optional. I'm just taking, the flower has partially dried. You can tell that it's still a little wet, but I'm just taking my brush and applying some ink pretty much in the dry areas. And most of the time I probably would have left this part out just because I don't want it to, I hate to like risk overdoing it. Okay, so I'm going to do another flower. Actually, I'm going to do 3 flowers for you. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm wetting the area where I want to put the ink. And then this one, I'm just going to pretty much allow the ink to flow where it wants to. Okay, so the same thing for the first flower. I'm just putting black at the bottom, and I'm going to allow that black to blend out. I'm going to help it out by adding a little bit of water. Okay, so the last small flower that I'm doing is up at the top of the screen, where I'm using less water, so you can really see the contrast of how the brush is going into the water at the top and into the dry areas at the bottom, creating those really nice brush strokes. Okay guys, so the last thing that I always love to do is take a little bit of gouache paint and just add a few lines so that you can see the shadowing. If you don't have a lot of shadowing, this is a nice way to create that effect by adding a few lines of white gouache paint. Some people like to use white out. You can also use white acrylic paint, but I think the gouache just blends in really nicely, especially if you're painting on a watercolor painting that's still wet. And these are a few paintings that I did earlier today. So I'm just adding a few strokes of gouache paint as well on these. And I'll put all of them together for the print design that I'll show you guys next week. Alright guys, I will see you on next week's video. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe below. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook using the hashtag or the handle by Kris Keys. Have a great week. Ciao.